the anime introduces us to Takeru Kamishiro, a simple office worker whose life is a monotonous cycle of the same commute, the same job, and the same trip home, an ordinary existence that, while comforting to some, leaves a part of him yearning for a taste of something different. One day after work, as Takeru seeks a distraction on his TV, he's suddenly transported from his couch into a white void, standing before the very man he was just watching. This white-haired man introduces himself as the supervisor of the solar system, clarifying he's less an alien and more of a god, though he prefers the mundane title of the universe's middle management. He reveals a problematic planet called Medius where civilizations repeatedly collapse despite his interventions, explaining that he now needs to create a small ripple that can grow into a world-changing wave, and Takeru is to be that ripple. When Takeru resists, the god nonchalantly informs him that he is already dead, and refusing this transfer to Medius means his soul will simply vanish. Panicked, Takeru accepts and is allowed to choose special gifts. The god quickly jots down extreme magical potential before Takeru excitedly requests a cute companion. The god agrees, adding on enhanced exploration skills for gathering materials, a practical storage bag, fluency in the new world's language, and various resistances as a bonus. As Takeru's body begins to fade, the god has a last-minute moment of doubt, worrying he may have given him too much and expressing uncertainty about the specific companion chosen for him. Takeru's alarm at this cryptic warning is met only with a smile as he disappears, awakening in a forest on Medius in a new body, armed with only the promised bag and a stick he found on the ground. Completely lost, Takeru decides to search for civilization, but soon discovers his abilities by experimenting with words. Saying, "Scan," reveals the names of materials around him. And his first find is a B-rank moonlit herb, thrilling him with its potential value. He quickly learns to gather anything that glows, collecting akane mushrooms, elemental mushrooms, and prawer leaves, but his most valuable find is what initially appears to be a stone, which his scan identifies as C-rank hammer, pangolin droppings. Disgusted, but practical, he notes its high rank and also figures out that his exploration magic marks tradable materials with special icons for easy tracking. With a decent haul, he heads to a nearby town where a guard named Marlowe, surprised by both Takeru's height and his rare profession as a material collector, directs him to the general store. Takeru immediately draws stares from the villagers due to his unusual height, and inside the shop, he presents the C-rank droppings to the shopkeeper, who is surprisingly ecstatic. The shopkeeper immediately recognizes the item, praising its exceptional shape and quality while handling it with his bare hands and offering 5 silver coins. After learning a silver coin is worth 1,000 rei and an inn costs 500 a night, Takeru realizes the droppings alone are worth 10 nights' stay and accepts the deal, only to watch in horror as the overjoyed man rubs the item on his face. Giving a vague story about being a traveling collector, Takeru sells the rest of his materials, prompting the shopkeeper to offer him a job to collect mithril ore from the eastern mountain. Takeru agrees, receiving a map and a staggering total of 360,000 rei for everything, a sum that leaves him floored by his first day's earnings, though the shopkeeper warns him that the mountain is crawling with monsters. Though slightly unsettled by the monster warning, Takeru shelves his worries and checks into an inn, only to face a new crisis: the severe lack of proper bathing facilities. A staff member offers him a bowl of hot water for a sponge bath, explaining that actual baths are a luxury reserved for nobles. This devastating news brings Takeru to his knees until the girl mentions that mages can use magic to clean people, an idea that sparks immediate hope. Dismissing the girl with a generous tip, he experiments and successfully casts a clean spell, magically washing his entire body in seconds. While incredibly convenient, the bath enthusiast in him finds it deeply unsatisfying. The next day, while gathering materials, his tracking ability leads him to a deceased adventurer's body instead of a resource. He discovers a family amulet containing a heartfelt letter from the man's sister and, unable to just leave him, Takeru gives him a proper burial. That evening, he sets up a magical protective barrier and cooks a hearty meat and wild herb soup, thoroughly enjoying his creation. Continuing his journey, he arrives at the Forest of White Trees, also known as the Forest of Ancient Dragons, a notoriously dangerous, monster-infested area. Curiously, his scan detects no mithril ore, nor does he encounter any living creatures, not even monsters, which bizarrely leads him to panic that his own body odor might be repelling everything. Deciding a clear path is a good thing regardless, he makes a run for it, only to abruptly fall off a cliff, frantically trying to shout a magic word for flight before he hits the ground. Thinking fast, Takeru shouts, "Fly," and manages to land safely at the bottom of the cliff, where his scanning ability immediately detects numerous ore readings. As he begins gathering, a tremor shakes the ground, signaling he should hurry. He uses a flame spell to blast through rock and finally uncovers mithril, an A-rank material, but the small piece feels insufficient. Another tremor urges him onward, and he follows a glowing blue light deeper into the cave, discovering a massive underground lake. A scan reveals it to be SS-rank magical water from an ancient dragon's lair, his most valuable discovery yet. Distracted by this, he barely registers a deep growl and a booming voice asking who dares to awaken it. Too focused on the thought of collecting some of this incredible water. As he dismisses the voice again and reaches for the lake, a colossal creature erupts from the surface, roaring in fury. The creature, a dragon, demands to be heard, surprised that Takeru can withstand its immense pressure. Realizing his mistake, Takeru performs a deep formal bow of apology, a gesture perfected by years of office life, which amuses the dragon. After introducing himself, Takeru learns from the dragon, who calls himself Voldius, that it was Takeru's overwhelming magical power that awoke him from his slumber, a power Voldius claims rivals his own. It's only then that Takeru realizes he's face to face with the legendary ancient dragon. Voldius quickly gets to the point. He needs Takeru's pure magical energy to help hatch his son's egg, which has been stalled by stagnant, corrupted mana in the cave. As payment, Voldius instantly creates a massive chunk of magical mithril ore. Intrigued by the mercenary offer, Takeru agrees, and the dragon presents him with the unhatched egg. Impressed by the massive egg, Takeru is unsure how to proceed until Voldius instructs him to simply pour his magic into it. Assuming it needs warmth, Takeru uses his heat magic, but is suddenly and violently absorbed into the egg itself. He finds himself in a void before a different god, this one with black hair who scolds him for being reckless and creating massive ripples in a world he's been carefully managing for eons. Annoyed, the god declares he's reducing Takeru's ridiculous blessing before sending him back, cryptically stating a little trouble will do him good. Takeru awakens to the squeaking of the newly hatched dragon, who immediately pounces on him, smelling strongly of fish. Voldius instructs him to give the hatchling an alias, so Takeru names him Vi, short for the color violet. With Voldius's blessing, Vi joins Takeru's party, and the ancient dragon entrusts his powerful son to him before sinking back into the magical lake. After a quick cleaning spell to get rid of Vi's fishy smell, the pair find a spot to camp for the night. Takeru gives Vi some of the SS-rank magical water, learning that Voldius magically linked his item box to the underground lake, granting him an unlimited supply essential for raising a dragon hatchling. That night, Takeru effortlessly creates magic stones, which he read are quite valuable to form a protective barrier and start a cooking fire, then prepares a hearty soup with seasoned meat and vegetables for their dinner. As soon as the food is ready, Takeru notices Vi drooling and offers him a bowl, which the eager dragonet promptly scalds his tongue on, forcing a bemused Takeru to blow on it for him. Happy they can share meals, Takeru asks if Vi is lonely without his father, and the small dragon responds by cuddling close, making it clear he's content. Takeru is charmed, but a look at Vi's stats reveals the cute creature is a B-rank monster with an astounding affinity for nearly every element, the blessing of the ancient dragon, and the potential for infinite evolution. Reeling from the power of his new companion, Takeru resolves to be a responsible guardian, if only to avoid Voldius's wrath. He sighs, reflecting that while he wished for a cute partner, he was definitely expecting a girl, not a reptile, and is sure the gods set this up on purpose. The next morning, they climb back to the forest of ancient dragons, which now seems less intimidating. As Vi happily explores, Takeru gathers C-rank materials until a terrified Vi comes flying back to him. A quick monster scan reveals 7 aggressive creatures nearby, leading Takeru to realize his monster-repelling scent must have worn off. He sees an opportunity for valuable monster parts, just as a C-rank rock hawk, a fierce, carnivorous bird known for its speed and sharp beak, swoops in. Unimpressed after facing Voldius, Takeru's appraisal ability focuses less on the threat and more on the fact its meat is sweet, rich, and its spine can be processed into seasoning. Viewing the creature as a flying ingredient, he instantly erects a barrier and prepares an attack, creating ice needles with his magic and declaring that if he must hunt, it will be for survival and sustenance as the rock hawk dives. Takeru effortlessly dispatches the rock hawk with just 3 ice needles, but his victory is short-lived as Vi warns of more monsters approaching, a prospect Takeru only sees as an opportunity for more ingredients. A pack of C-rank serpent wolves, fierce omnivores with paralyzing venom in their snake-like tails, surrounds them. But Takeru remains unfazed. Buffing himself with speed and weight reduction magic, he launches into the air and uses hardened limbs to eliminate one with a powerful kick before quickly dispatching the rest with his bare fists. As he harvests the materials, his scanner reveals an overwhelming number of monsters closing in, forcing him to abandon a protracted fight. Vi desperately tries to airlift him to safety, and when Takeru lightens his own weight with magic, the tiny dragon soars too high and accidentally drops him. After a panicked dive from Vi, Takeru awakens unharmed back at their previous campsite to the familiar fishy smell of the dragonette licking his face. Grateful but shaken, he asks Vi to be a bit gentler next time, a request the happy dragon seems to accept. Continuing their journey towards Tormi village, Vi becomes curious about the stick Takeru carries, which he reveals is actually a dormant, SS rank branch from the legendary world tree, Yggdrasil. Hearing this, Vi breathes his mana-infused smoke onto it, awakening its power and transforming the simple branch into a magnificent staff. Takeru is conflicted, worried that wielding a staff makes him look less like a material collector and more like a flashy mage. His contemplation is cut short by a deep growl from the woods, and while Takeru prepares for another fight, the ever-curious Vi flies recklessly toward the source of the sound. Panicked, Takeru chases after Vi and finds him circling a tree, where a weak elven girl is slumped against its base. He assumes she was attacked by a monster, but the deep growl he heard before echoes again, and he's stunned to realize it's coming from her stomach. She weakly explains she hasn't eaten in 3 days, so Takeru quickly offers her his water and a packed lunch from the innkeeper. The girl devours the food, dramatically proclaiming its heavenly taste, though Takeru dryly notes that anything tastes amazing when you're starving. He questions why she'd travel so unprepared, but gets distracted when he notices her smell, bluntly remarking that she smells like manure instead of the springtime breeze he'd imagined for elves. Offended, but knowing he's right, she blames her days of camping before abruptly thanking him for his help, chiding him for his rudeness, and rushing off. Confused but undeterred, Takeru and Vi continue gathering materials on their way out of the forest. Just as they reach the edge, Vi spots a carriage in the distance, impressing Takeru with his sharp senses. Upon closer inspection, Takeru's appraisal ability identifies the horse pulling the carriage as an E-rank unicorn, a common draft animal in this world. The driver, assuming from the new staff that Takeru is a mage, offers a ride and is surprised to learn he's a rare, specialized material collector. Playing along, Takeru nervously laughs off the specialist comment as the man offers him a ride back to Tormi. After a moment of hesitation due to his size, he's warmly invited aboard by the man's wife and their 2 children, who find his height amusing. Takeru notes that children seem to like him in this new world, which helps put their parents at ease. The driver assures him there's no trouble, explaining that the people of Tormi believe in helping each other. When Takeru playfully asks the kids what they'd do if he were a bandit, they laugh and point to a small bell, a magic item that would have rung if he had any ill intent. After formal introductions, the driver is Porum, his wife is Elisa, and their children are Yunan and Kane. A small noise from Takeru's coat reminds him of Vi. At the children's excited insistence, Takeru cautiously lets the dragonette out, warning him to behave. While the kids are delighted by Vi's cuteness, the adults are stunned. Takeru explains he's a black dragon hatchling, carefully omitting his ancient dragon parentage, and clarifies he isn't a dragon rider but simply found and hatched the egg himself, a feat that leaves Porum and Elisa speechless. Elisa explains that even dragon riders are a rare sight, making a true dragon an almost unheard of marvel. As night falls, the family stops the carriage to make camp. Takeru uses his magic to create a fire and sets up another protective barrier with magic stones, reassuring the family that Vi will also alert them to any danger, which puts everyone at ease. As Elisa prepares to cook, Takeru insists on making dinner as a thank you, impressing the family by pulling various ingredients from his item box. He whips up his specialty meat soup, this time with steak, alongside a mushroom and vegetable salad. The family is stunned first by the appearance and then by the incredible taste of the meal. Porum is so overcome with emotion that he begins to weep, explaining that after days of eating nothing but dried meat, tasting such a feast with his happy children is overwhelming. Takeru laughs at the dramatic reaction, but Porum abruptly stops crying to accuse him of being a flavor sorcerer. The accusation is so ridiculous that everyone bursts into laughter. To end the perfect evening, Porum plays a guitar while Elisa sings, and Vi dances joyfully with the children, who pull Takaru into their celebration. For the first time since arriving in this new world, Takaru realizes the simple joy of sharing a meal and laughter with others, a stark contrast to his silent, lonely dinners back on Earth. And he laughs truly and freely from the heart.